we think are really interesting. On that point that Chris just raised there, this is some data that Chartbeat commissioned, and what they found was that actually the majority of engagement happens below the fold and right down to the end of a page, which is quite alarming for advertising, in that their perception is that most of the engagement happens above the fold and happens right at the top of the page. So what they've done here is that the darkest areas of red are the areas of highest engagement on a page. And if you correlate that against where advertising is placed at the moment, generally speaking, on web pages, actually the leaderboard and the top MPU are in the areas of least engagement on the page.
And that's interesting because it's quite counterintuitive. So, I mean, it's quite a standard belief that the best place to have an ad is right at the top of the page in the top left, where you've got this long banner ad. But from this study, you can see that that's where the least engagement happens. People are probably so tuned in to ignoring just the top of the page because there's either a logo or some navigation which they don't use. They know to kind of scroll down just a little bit because that's where the content starts, and that's where the eyes are focused, and that's where they begin looking. And as they scroll down the page, that's where their attention is.
Exactly, it's exactly that. And I think the industry very much wrongly has been fixated on buying above the fold inventory because it was the only way in which they could guarantee that the ads will be viewable. However, as we're now moving, the technology is available for everyone to see sort of past this. We're able to say that yes, the above the fold ads are viewable, but also if we say that the below the fold ads are viewable as well, and compare them on a like-for-like basis, the ads below the fold often outperform the ads above the fold, both in terms of CTR and in terms of how long they're on the page for. So why this is interesting at the moment, and what we're kind of doing to address it, is that many news sites are very top-heavy when it comes to advertising. So, for example, with The Guardian, we did an analysis and presented to their board recently where we showed them that on average their pages were 26,000 pixels in length, but their ads stopped after around 2,500 pixels. So they were only monetizing the top 10% of their actual page. The other 90% was not monetized at all through any advertising, regardless of whether a user was spending time there. So this is a major kind of discrepancy between being overly top-heavy with their advertising, and that comes down to the fact that there's a perception that above the fold or as near to the top of the page as possible is of higher value. But if you remove the element of doubt, which is viewability, and say all ads on a page are going to be viewed, then it comes down to let's put the ads, or let's buy the ads in areas of the page which have the highest viewability.